Everyone, I have wonderful, spectacular news. I went to the doctors and it's not a tumour. Seriously, how much does it look like a cancer growing out of that couch? But it's also official that Labor's delivering one of the biggest economic turnarounds of anywhere on planet Earth. That's what this video's about, so let's see what the press are reporting about these astonishing figures.
Albanese's blue sky pitch is easy to say but harder to sell.
Yes, that's very true. Good news is hard to sell when you don't report it! Particularly when, right above that negative spin, in bold.
Losers.
To which I say, Sydney Morning Herald, isn't that a bit ableist, calling people with mental health issues losers? Anyway, let's see what the...
Wait, just in case you didn't see it, thumbs down.
Okay, we get it, SMH. Surely you could be a little less subtle in your propaganda and... $300 to help tame inflation dragon. Oh, jeez. Jim Chalmers halves inflation. More on that later. And all he gets is a pitchfork? You gotta give the SMH points in their editorial stance not changing in 150 years. If this was 1870s, it'd be the same fucking cartoon. The only difference would be that the dragon would have the word inflation right across it. So there you go. You're up to date over the last century and a half. Let's go over to the Fin review. Surely seeing as they spent a decade pretending that economic management is all just a number at the end of the budget either being or surely they're going to at least pay the Chalmers delivered back-to-back surpluses and it's the same dragon. Now it's bad that he's winning against the dragon.
Why'd you stop him from burning down the house with the kid in it, Jim? See, this is typical Labor, taking food out of someone's mouth to feed someone else.
Surely someone somewhere within our vast media landscape, ranging from middle-aged losers with square glasses to early 30s losers with square glasses, just one, will point out that Albo isn't just pitching a blue sky. If you look outside your Overton window, it's like the only bullshit corporate charity ever spruik. It's beyond fucking blue. Let's have a flick.
Budget surplus of $13 billion tipped, but Labor needs a credible plan.
Australia's last mile inflation.
How much the cost of living crunches cost you and what you have to
big talk on new spending with
supermarket code of conduct will likely inflate grocery
prices.
fades. Australia's golden goose is looking
Is the most irresponsible budget in recent memory?
No. Et tu, fat Hitler. You're supposed to love economically ambitious underdogs.
Name!
Brisbane, Launceston, Gold Coast. Why the fuck am I going to the other end of the country in between going to two cities that are next to each other? I don't know, but I am. So make sure that you don't kick yourself by not getting tickets to my brand new show, links below. Now, why all the bad press? Well, stay tuned because Uncle Friendly Jimmy will give you the sauce. Just don't get that confused with your other friendly uncle who gave you his sauce. He's in jail now, but I personally hope he gets parole and the courts force him to stay in your bed like in anger management. Anyway, as usual, when it comes to economic figures, I stole them all from our good friend of the channel, Alan Austin. Check him out at Independent Australia, as he is unironically the only man in the country that is telling it like it is. That everything is just fine. Well, finer than most other places. But come on, if you looked at the hard facts and figures, at least they make me hard. No, that's not a copy of anger management in my pocket. It's this ranking. Look, this is based on assessing nearly 120 treasurers from across the planet. The international assessment of Labor, as usual, flies right in the face of the national assessment of Labor, which is that they've brought down the most irresponsible budget in recent memory. I'm sorry. But if you look at someone a little more trustworthy than Fat Hitler, but no less pro-Germany, the IMF, they seem to think it's the most responsible budget in recent memory, as look at how far we shot up the ranks. Come on, mein Fat Führer. No Zig Heil for this, Blitzkrieg? Frydenberg was scraping the absolute bottom of the barrel, 91st out of 116 treasurers, which...
Oh, matzah! I thought the Jews were supposed to be good with money, am I right?
Chalmers, meanwhile, has raises from the bottom 5th to within a hair of the top 5th within just 2 years. Imagine if he was a coach in the English Premier League. He'd be getting all sorts of praise on ESPN or BBC 18. Look, I'll level with you. I've never watched soccer in my entire life. I assume it's the sport we used to play at school. Very strange from memory because it was a very handsy game for something called football. But if Scott Morrison got those results, could you imagine the headlines he'd be getting over at 9 Fairfax when he'd be getting these headlines for being literally not even half as good as Chalmers? Look, on primary balance, Chalmers is 28th in the world. Scott Morrison was 63rd. It's not like bowling 9 Fairfax, it's like golf.
The lower the better.
And despite by the numbers being more than twice as bad, Scott Morrison's depicted as sneaking past the same fucking dragon like it's Metal Gear Solid 3. That's how stealthy Scotty is, as the country soon discovered after he was elected. Chalmers, on the other hand, just somehow fluked the fastest economic turnaround on Earth, apparently, as remember, guys, he has no plan. ScoMo, oh, he had a plan, and what a plan. Wow, 63rd. If I'm only just a little bit shitter next year, my next cartoon will be of me playing a Nintendo. Nintendo 64th in the world. You know how all of a sudden 9 Fairfax has decided that surpluses don't matter? That's a new development under ScoMo. Hey, back in black. That's right. Back then, the Liberals didn't deliver a surplus, but 9 Fairfax pretended they did anyway. Where was the press's endless moaning that there's never going to be a blue sky ever again? Back then, saying the surplus was just a mirage was just negative thinking. You know, when the surplus was literally just a mirage. Now, the Chalmers actually has brought the budget back in black. Not just once, twice. 2 for 2. While the Liberals' efforts, 0 for 9. Ooh, all these number coincidences would be getting the deputy opposition leader moist, wouldn't they? Because she's into numerology and all that shit. I don't know, is that known enough? Probably not. Anyway, all of a sudden the square glasses dweeb cult at 9. 3rd place, net debt down. Labour's figures aren't nearly as impressive as my Dutch Empire and Civilization 6. 400 gold per turn, no less. Shut up, nerds. At least play the superior economic management game, Zoo Tycoon, stuffing 167 orcas in a tank. Now that's what I call solving the housing crisis. Not too far off some share houses I've seen in Sydney, actually. And like everyone in those share houses, I'm assuming those orcas would never shut the fuck up about the documentary Blackfish. Let's move over to the Murdoch press that I infinitely like more than 9 Fairfaxes. At least their cartoons are funny, representing, not my opinion, factually, one of the most responsible budgets on Earth. By the numbers, that's somehow represented as,
Oh, he's throwing money around to buy votes.
Meanwhile, just a few years ago, when Frydenberg and the Liberals handed down, again, this is not my opinion, factually, one of the most irresponsible budgets on Earth, that actual, unbelievably profligate spending.
Hey, look, everyone. Josh is giving away free money. Go, Josh.
I've never been so happy to be in aged care than in specifically 2021. Nothing else went wrong for us that year. Look, even the dog's rich.
Is that dog drinking out of a mental health bowl? I just want to know what that means. The only thing factually accurate about that cartoon is that for some reason every stop-slow chick in Australia is hot. Naturally. Josh is represented as a tradie because if there's one phrase that immediately crosses my mind when I think about a former executive at Deutsche Bank,
Men of the people. Look, even their emblems are blue collar.
contrast that to Charmless Chalmers over here, looking like the love child of Jacinta Ardern and Dumbo. None of Frydenberg's huge amount of government spending was inflationary, by the way, but now all of a sudden, you know how every penny the government spends is inflationary.
Hey, he's keeping hospitals open. Classic vote grab and move. Doesn't he know that giving nurses a salary is what's causing this inflationary madness? Because I don't, I'm just saying it.
Even though Chalmers has again halved inflation. Look at the graph. That inflation spike right there? Ooh, Chalmers wasn't even in power then. Oh well, blame him anyway. Because I'm not an idiot, I don't blame the Liberals for that inflation spike either, just like I don't blame Kevin Rudd for the economic conditions he was allotted during the GFC. But the press blames Kevin Rudd, even though the true culprit had a pretty revealing clue in the title of the global financial crisis. They still looked at that spike and thought, yes, it happened under Labor, it's their fault. But then in the global cost of living crisis, yes, it didn't happen under Labor, it's still their fault. Global problems are not the fault of national governments. What is how they respond. And the way Labor responded to the global financial crisis was factually world class. Show me an expert that didn't agree. We were the only developed nation to avoid a recession. And always remember, this is how much the press hates Labor. We all know how much they hate China, but they hate China less than Labor. They gave China credit for us avoiding a recession. It's not true Doesn't matter. Say it anyway. They've got the legitimacy of a stencil portrait and look, more boring than you, so they must know what the economy is and what it's doing. Honestly, that aesthetic is just cosplaying. It's like you looking at this picture and thinking, wow, it really is Goku. In the global cost of living crisis, Labor's response, again, factually, this is not my opinion, world class. Jim Chalmers' anti-inflationary policy has not only halved inflation, look at this. This is the OECD's average of inflation. Chalmers' anti-inflationary package has beaten the rest of the developed world by a whole percentage point. That might not sound like much, but these figures aren't a mid-year sale. You're not getting fucking 50% off. You can't. Look, the average OECD inflation rate is 4.64%. Labor's is at 3.6%. That's 25% off! Or some shit. I was in the maths class for the kids that use maths class as an excuse to smoke cones in the toilets. But the point is, these are not numbers that deserve you to be visually depicted as being a quivering, illiterate, medieval coward. Can we at least agree on that? Especially when you're, pardon the pun, heralding the party that always downgrade our economic results to those comparable to literal banana republics as economic geniuses. Look at how this pants shitter is depicted, right up there with the greatest thinkers of not just our time, of all time. Edison, Einstein, ScoMo. I'm standing on giant shoulders and crushing them with my mighty brain. Here's a fun example. You know how the media hates Albo's new Australian manufacturing plant? Oh, sorry, I meant to say fetishism. Oh, yes. We all remember what a disgrace it is that Labor dare have a vision for this country where it builds anything a little more complicated than a triple stack. But for them to dare go on one step further and have those things built by men, I swear it's the only thing the press hates more than organised labour, penises. The press hate manufacturing and, oh, hang on, we make things in Australia. Profound quote. I told yous I'm smarter than Einstein. Look, I get that it's part of this country's DNA to bitch and moan about living in one of the best countries on earth, apart from Cambodia, obviously. I mean, lunch under $1. Now there's a country that solved its cost of living crisis. It's just hard to find any legitimate reasons to bitch under consistently by every metric you can find one of the best governments on earth. So the press can't rely on facts to bitch. They just hide the facts. Just like they do under the Liberals, only this time they hide the facts because the facts are good. They routinely lie about Labor's record, as apparently the only form of manufacturing that the Australian press approves of, at least when Labor's in government, is consent.
That's manufacturing consent, not a other consent thing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, some people will get it.